Hey, what up? Just a quick video about why I don't own a gun. I was asked, why am I not bringing a gun out into the wilderness to, protect myself against would-be attackers out there in the wilderness? Um, it's kind of a silly question, really, but I'm going to go over some of the stats and show why, most people probably shouldn't own a gun at all for their own safety, especially my demographic, right? So there's a lot of information in the U.S. and a lot of false information out there about the United States having a really high homicide rate, yada yada yada. Well, the vast majority of the not the vast majority, but the majority of murders and homicides are committed by black people in the United States, right? Whites commit fewer, 7,700, but there's a huge difference in population, right? There's 251.6 million white people, and we're at 45 million. So the population here is over 5 times as many white people. And, you go back and you crunch these numbers, realizing that this is less than 1/5 of the people are committing more crime, more homicides than this demographic. You realize that you crunch these numbers, and the homicide rate for whites in the United States is more like Canada, right? It's not some astronomical figure. It's high. It's higher than it should be, obviously. It's not China. It's not Japan, but it's definitely higher than it should be. But it's not anywhere near as high as the national average, because this really high homicide rate really ticks that average way up. So, being a white person, my chances of getting murdered are significantly lower. However, if we come over and look at, um, well, here's another one too, age. I'm 46, so I'm in this bracket here. The vast majority of homicide victims are, you know, younger than I am. The most dangerous time in a person's life is, 17 to 45 here. After that, your chances of getting murdered go down precipitously. So the time to own a gun is certainly not time to run out and buy a gun at this age. You're already in the clear. You've already made it through, one of those most dangerous times. Um, so now we look at the suicide rates here, right? So we're looking at white suicide rates, 37,000. So we looked at that other chart back here. 7,700 white people were murdered, but 37,459 people that same year, white people, committed suicide. Um, and the vast majority of these are males, right? Gender, it's suicide's much higher in males than females. And so, the bulk of these are males. Same with homicides, too. Most homicide victims are males as well. But 37,000 deaths from suicide compared to 7,700 homicides. And then you break it down and look at my demographic, my age group. Let's see. I had another stat up. Um, oh, yeah, I think it's actually on the same page here. Uh, Age, again, your age group, uh, suicides are still pretty high here in my age group. It doesn't drop like it does for homicide. And so you crunch all these numbers and put them together, and a white male of my age living in the United States literally has a more than 10 times more likely to commit suicide than get murdered by someone. And the biggest factor, especially for males again, is having access to a gun. Having access to a gun, a handgun in particular, dramatically increases your chances of committing suicide. So that's a big reason there. Also, I'll be traveling with my wife and daughter, and I'm interested in their safety as well. That's age. Here's some female stats here. you can see these three here. These are intimate partner, non-intimate family, and friend or other known person. So people that know a female are the most likely people to kill, murder a woman, right? Over here, a stranger is just not very likely to be the one murdering a woman. So again, having a gun, uh, it doesn't increase my ability to be able to protect them. It actually increases what is already by far their biggest danger, which is me, right? Now, obviously, everybody thinks that they would never do something like this, but it happens all the time. You could undergo some kind of, emotional trauma or something else, and you never know what might happen. So I take this really seriously. I've had a gun before that I took out in the wilderness because we were in grizzly country, and mentally, like I didn't handle it well at all. You know, I felt like I was more aggressive. I thought about it a lot. It just took up a lot of headspace. I did not like having that around, and I get in a really bad mood or something really goes poorly, and things were going poorly for me. I think I had some big financial disaster happen while I was out. And I had this handgun, and then I was belligerent, I was angry, and my wife and kid flew home and left me because I was being such a dick. And yeah, it was not good that I had a handgun with me. I was definitely at very high risk, and yeah, so I don't mess with guns. I think for me, the odds of a stranger coming up and murdering us, it's just so slim in a populated area. Out in the wilderness where there's no one around, it becomes even more, the possibilities are even more remote. I mean, it's just, encountering an average of maybe 6 people a day, 8 people a day, 10, you know, um, your chances of getting murdered by a stranger when you're not even seeing any strangers is extremely low. So I think it's the right choice. That's why I don't own a gun or have any interest in taking a gun. Secondly, if you just think about a scenario where a gun is going to protect you, right? I was watching a TV show the other night, and not a TV show, but it was like a news broadcast, and a guy had had his house broken into a few weeks prior, and then police came and mistakenly knocked on his door. They were supposed to go to a different house. They knocked on his door. He either didn't hear it was the police or didn't believe that it was the police, but he came out with his gun in his hand, and then they immediately gunned him down, right? If you have a gun, it doesn't mean that you're protected, right? What it does mean is that if a person sees you with a gun, you're a threat, and you are much more likely to get shot if you have a gun. If you don't have a gun, why is someone going to shoot you if you're not a threat to them? I mean, the main reason you're going to get shot is if you're a threat to someone else. No need to off somebody who isn't even armed. So this kind of fantasy that, that if you have a gun, you're going to be able to protect yourself from someone else who has a gun and has homicidal intentions towards you, there's just no way. I'm like, Smiley McHugs a lot, walking around in the woods and enjoying myself. What am I going to walk up to somebody and just kind of suspect that he might, be a bad guy and shoot him before he has the chance to shoot me? If he already knows he's going to shoot me, there's no way that I'm going to have such strong suspicion that he's going to shoot me that I'm going to just shoot him just in case as a preventative precautionary measure. I mean, I just really think it's it's a fantasy from watching way too many movies that having a gun is that you're going to be able to save yourself against somebody who's has some kind of like premeditated malintent towards you. So, I mean, it may give some people peace of mind to have a gun, but, it does the opposite for me, and the statistics show that it's not going to do shit for me anyway. So, anyway, don't feel like you have to have a gun. a gun may actually be increasing your chances of getting murdered. If you're a female, the most dangerous people in your life are the people you know. And the closer you know them, the more dangerous they are. And if you're a male, especially a white male, especially an older white male, middle-aged or older, your greatest danger to you is you. And having a gun just makes you more dangerous to yourself, not anybody else. So anyway, that's my stance on it. That's my belief. I'm not an anti-gun nut or anything like that. But, and this is certainly not propaganda to try to support some kind of anti-gun policy. It's not motivated by that at all. This is motivated by personal experience and statistics, driven by logic. And the logic says that for my protection and the protection of my family, a gun is probably a net negative. And it's just more weight to carry. So I ain't bringing one.